what we've heard. So keep some notes. So even if you want to refer back, you have something in writing. Please take a seat, gentlemen. Please take a seat. Listen to the words credibility, brand. The word you're looking for, ladies and gentlemen, don't get distracted. Focus on what I'm saying. The word you're looking for is reputation. When you build a certain reputation in the market, people tend to make sure they don't mess with you. People make sure that they pay you on time. Not only because they have a fear that you will feel bad, but they don't want to generally displease you. They want to make sure that they look good in front of you. You've created that aura, you've created that reputation, right? That is the first step in actually building a brand. Now, how do you build a reputation? What is the formula? I'll give you a step-by-step formula. The first thing you need is to do anything with consistency. Step one. If you are consistent, you get stability. I'm giving you a flow chart. You can even make a nice mind map of this and put it up on your desks or in your office. Share it with your juniors. If you're consistent, you're stable. There is stability. Right? If there's stability, there is reliability. People can rely on you. If there is reliability, you build credibility. Yes, he will be there when he's called. He will show up. He is a reliable chap. So reliable means credible. If there's credibility, you have a reputation. And if you have a reputation, you get a reference. So there is a formula for getting a reference. This is the scientific formula. The moment you feel you're not getting enough references, you ask yourself which one of this is missing. And you'll have the answer. Now, I was told that some of you are keen that you build a brand in your own practices. I'm going to give you a few inputs, few suggestions on how you can build a brand. Let me ask you a basic question. What do you mean by a brand? There are a lot of words that we actually use very often without actually knowing what they mean. I would like to ask all of you, what do you mean by a brand? वो brand की चीज है, ती brand ची वस्तु आहे, ती चांगली आहे. What do you mean? Yes, sir.
Confidence in buying that.
Yes. You derive confidence from that brand, saying when I'm buying this brand, I know for a fact that the quality is going to be superior. Somebody, yes, sir.
Perception.
Yeah. That I perceive that this brand is pretty good. That's why I will buy it. Excellent. Yes. That I will get justice for the money I'm spending. Very nice.
Track record.
A track record that, yes, there is a track history that over the years they've been doing things correctly. Right? Good. Now, write down this question. What are your own brand attributes? Just now, some of our colleagues mentioned 3-4 brand attributes. Ask yourself, what are your own brand attributes? Now, I will help you with a few. We already spoke about consistency and stability. Do you think in your profession they are also brand attributes?
Yes.
Today I am a realtor, today I am a real estate professional, tomorrow I am suddenly opening a shop, the next day I am suddenly doing some social media designing, the fourth day I am suddenly doing motivational speaking. Do you think people can rely on your brand? No. You have people, you have seniors here who've been doing this for years, even before maybe some of us were born. And that has lent to their credibility, that has lent to their stability, right? So that is one. Second is your style of working. For the longest time, your profession was notorious or had that perception that people didn't want to deal with some of you. Right? People were scared to deal with you. The moment they began dealing with you, they always looked at you with an eye of suspicion. They always looked at you with an eye of suspicion. Where do you think that came from? Gentlemen, people looked at you with an eye of suspicion. Nobody wants to get into a relationship looking at each other with suspicion. There has to be a basic tenet of trust between people. Where do you think that happened? Because there was no professional style of working. It was a very ad hoc, mood-based, seasonal-based, need-based style of working. Just now I want to work with so many clients. Just now I don't want to work with so many clients. I'm not happy with this builder. I'm not happy with that developer. So I will choose not to do X, Y, Z. So you can't draw a straight line through that. It becomes very difficult to work with people like that. So number one, and the biggest brand attribute that all of you need to start having is whether you actually work professionally. Whether you actually do things when you're supposed to do them. For example, if you're invited to an event, your community, your fraternity today needs to ask yourselves whether we start things on time, whether we end things on time. If they don't, then there is some room for introspection. We need to look within and ask ourselves whether we are right there or whether we are not. And only we can answer our own questions. We don't need anybody else, right? So the level of professionalism that you bring to the table is going to be one of your biggest brand attributes. The second is the promises you make, commitments, how you will deliver what you say you will deliver, when you will deliver. You might say a lot of things when you want the client to sign up with you. But eventually, at the moment of truth, when the product is delivered, you have to ask yourselves whether it is actually going to be delivered in that way. Mike, so you have to ask yourselves that I might have an excellent product, but at the end of the day, the person who is dealing with me is the product, is the person who is going to be the interface. So are we delivering the product in the manner in which it is supposed to be delivered? That is one of the most important attributes for you. A lot of promises are made. You have to check. So I want all of you to have a promise sheet. Start maintaining a promise sheet after every client call, after every client WhatsApp, and after every client meeting. Make a note in your promise sheet. Because I want to impress the client, because I want the work, because I want to get the deal, I am happy to say whatever it takes. जे काय लागणार आहे मी म्हणायला तयार आहे आता. पण नंतर am I going to be a man of my word and say, हो मी हे म्हणलो होतो and I will stand by it? That is the question to ask ourselves. So keep a promise sheet and make a note in that promise sheet that I have told you this, sir. It's gone into my promise sheet. Now I have to stand by it. Can we do that? We need our promises, sir. Absolutely. Like a MOM of our promises. The next thing that goes into building your brand, ladies and gentlemen, is your story. What is your story? Your life story, your professional story? What role have you played in that movie? Eventually, your life is a film. And each one of us are playing a character. So, आप कौन सा किरदार निभा रहे हो ये check करो. Are you the angry father? Are you the young romantic hero? Are you the poet? You have to ask yourselves, what is my life story? And in my entire life story, this work that I am doing, where does it fit in? Is it only to make money? Is it to provide a life to people? Is it to provide a life for myself? Is it to create employment? Is it for nation building? The work that I'm doing, is it to build the country together? That I can help people find homes or find offices from which way they can work? What is the story about? If you can label your story, if you can say when you're talking to clients, other than this, the person you're dealing with has this story, people tend to buy into your story more. People tend to trust you more. And today you'll notice when you actually sit to think it's very difficult to put the story together. I want all of you to go back home today and think. Speak to your partners, speak to your spouses and say, what is our story? Tomorrow, if somebody were to make a movie on us, what would the movie be like? What would it be called? And then you'll realize there's a lot of work to be done to make this into an interesting story, to make it into a beautiful story. There's a lot of work to be done. It's an incomplete story. Another thing that goes into building a fantastic brand is the ability to introspect and correct yourselves. Today we've got into a habit of blaming the world for whatever is wrong in our lives. Something is wrong in my life, he is to blame. Something is not good in my life, she is to blame. They didn't do something, that's why my life is rotten or my work is bad. We've got into this apologetic sort of a self-pity mode. We have to get out of it. We have to tell ourselves, we have to be ruthless with ourselves. We have to be absolutely ruthless to ourselves because you are holding everybody else to the highest standards except yourself. You're holding the developer to the highest standards. You're holding the client to the highest standards. You're holding the regulator and RERA to the highest standards. You're holding the banks to the highest standards. Are you holding yourselves to the highest standards? Do you reply to emails within 2 minutes? Do you look at WhatsApps and behave as if you've not seen them? Do you look at a phone ringing and behave as if it wasn't ringing and call the person back after a day when you could have called them back in a minute? These are things that you need to be ruthless with yourself. Saying the day I start holding myself to the highest standards, the whole world starts changing around me. People start holding me in that regard. Trust me, I have experienced it in my own life, and each word that I am telling you today, I am not being insincere. I practice it myself and I see the positive effects in my own life. Trust me, try it, it helps. The next is, each one of you should focus on building a practice, building a firm. Today, the only things that sustain are a practice, are a firm. The lone wolf, single briefcase carrier business model has a very short shelf life. You need to be able to build a team, even if it means parting with a little bit of the income or a little bit of the money that you earn. You will have to build a team, otherwise the practice and the brand dies with you and nobody remembers you. And this is something a lot of people from your fraternity have not got right. So I would like to give you this food for thought, that think about succession planning, think about scale. Who next after me who will run this business? I was talking to Kishan Bhai, he is an old friend of mine. That Kishan Bhai, you've set up such a large practice over the years. He's one of the stalwarts in this industry. He was telling me, I need to find people now to work with me if my children are not interested or if they don't work with me. Luckily, he said, my daughter's coming back and working. But I'm sure some of you are young, some of you are not so young. But that's one point that each one of you have to go back and think. Where is the scale? Where is the brand? Right? What's happened with the big lawyers? The big lawyers who did not build big practices died a very quiet death because they didn't have younger lawyers who took up the baton. They didn't have younger lawyers who would run the practice after them, who could appear in front of the judge and say, Lord, I am standing in for Mr. Jetmalani or I am standing in for Mr. Ponda. They had that. So you have to be able to build that. Like for example, if he's not there, I am standing in for Mr. Milani, I am the one who's going to do the deal with you. We need that force behind us. If you want to build a brand, you have to build a practice. You have to build a team. You have to start hiring people. You have to create a brand which is not associated only with your name. Because eventually, you'll all have to ask yourselves, what is my legacy? What do I leave behind? Is my legacy that I was able to sell XYZ number of units in XYZ city with XYZ developer? Or is it that I was able to create a legacy where people could come and work, they could have a chance to have a career, they could come and do something great? I might start small, I don't have such a big practice, I might have one person to start with, but why not? That's a start. That's a good start. Another point that goes into building your brand, ladies and gentlemen, is the brand name itself and your overall external presence. How you brand yourself on social media, you will notice that the people you meet in person meet you once in probably few months. But on social media, people meet you far more often. They meet your digital avatar every day. They know what you're up to every day. So till now, most of you were consumers of data online, correct? You're scrolling through Instagram, you're scrolling through LinkedIn. I would like all of you to be creators of content. Today, you're all consuming content which somebody else has made for your eyes. So that means the world manipulates you the way it wants. When will you start telling the world back or talking to the world back is when you create content. When you give your views, when you're able to articulate your experiences, saying, I dealt with this customer, this was what I learned, this is a best practice, this is what my colleague should know. All of you need to start creating content. Today, I was talking to Tanuj. Tanuj is like a younger brother to me, and he was mentioning this beautiful website and Instagram page that this lady in Dubai has started. What is it, Dacha? It's called Dacha. It's DATC. I'll give you the spelling later. It's on Instagram, but please have a look at it. I went through it. They have really branded them really smartly. And it's not one person who's the face. There are multiple people who are getting involved. So what the viewer looks at is, oh wow, they built a practice around it. There are many people. There are lots of brains here. It's not just one man fronting the show. So go through that. See if you can model your practice on that. See if you can emulate some of those things. See, out of 10 things, we might be able to do 1 or 2. Everything's not possible. But at least we can try that. At least we can make an effort towards that. Eventually we'll get to 3 and 4. But at least let's start somewhere. Now, some of you have been in this line of work for a while. Your children might be joining you. They might be bursting with new ideas. Encourage those ideas. Experiment with them. Pilot with them. See if they work. Give the younger people a chance to speak. Give them a chance to ideate. Give them a chance to brainstorm with you. Don't be resistant to change. You know, the younger generation is moving very fast in terms of their lives. They are growing up in an extremely difficult environment which is hyper-competitive, hyper-sexualized. It's so difficult. You have to be able to listen to them and talk to them. Few other points that I've written down. Develop a response matrix for your own work. When do you respond to WhatsApp? When do you respond to phone calls, emails? Develop a response matrix. There has to be a gold standard when it comes to your work. It should not be dependent on your mood. Today I'm not feeling like it. Today I'm feeling a little lazy. I want to just rest in. It can't depend on that. You can't be a professional based on your moods. When I deal with XYZ person, I get XYZ. For example, today people are buying luxury products. They go and buy a Mercedes car or they go and stay in a Taj hotel. The reason they do it is because you know that आंखें बंद करके मुझे ये चीजें मिलने वाली हैं. There will be excellent build quality. There will be excellent customer service. I will have the same forest essential products in the bathroom. I will have the same bed linen used. There is a certain standardization. So the word you take away from this point is level of standardization that you bring in everything you do. Paperwork, correspondence, the way you behave in meetings, the way you're dressed, your ability to listen. I've observed people from your community speak a lot. They think it's important to speak. They feel if I don't speak, the person will not understand. The person will not know how important it is to know this feature of the building. But before you speak, check whether you've listened to the person. Check whether you heard them out. Don't be in a tearing hurry to speak. Because your personalities at work cannot be an extension of your personalities at home. Many of us make this mistake. We take our personalities from our personal lives and we extend them to the professional realm. It doesn't work like that. Those personalities have to be dramatically different. Am I making sense?
Yes.
Somewhere or the other, some points are relating to you guys. dependent on so many different parties. You cannot achieve success on your own. Am I right? Eventually, the product is being made by somebody else. Tomorrow, if you have a labor strike on site, it affects your delivery process. It affects your delivery schedule. Tomorrow, we have a COVID-like situation. It impacted everybody. So, point being, please understand who are the dependencies. Have a mind map. Whom am I dependent on? Am I dependent on Rena? I am. Am I dependent on some local goon who might throw a big tamasha tomorrow? I am. Who are the people who are in my ecosystem? These are the 10 people. Right? I need to be aware of my dependencies. Plan for them. Then start structuring internal processes correctly. Even if you might be a single operator, everything has to be documented. We've grown up in a culture in India where everything is verbalized. अरे मैंने कह दिया ना वो कर देगा बच्चे एक बार बोल देना करने का नहीं. We have to get into a culture of documenting things. And when I say documenting, doesn't mean sending them a message on WhatsApp. Documenting definition means writing an email or sending a memo in writing. That is documenting. Everything you deal with clients has to be documented. Right from the first meeting, saying that, sir, we met at site, and not all your clients are ready for it. You might meet all sorts of clients, but you keep your practices straight. Clients will fall in line with yours. Had we heard of IPCs in India so many years back? We hadn't. We hadn't heard of Cushman, Wakefield and Knight Frank and these JLL fellows and CBREs. But today they are running a very tight shop when it comes to documentation. Am I right? And clients fall in line. And it's not necessary that they only deal with MNC mandates. They deal with so many different types of clients for industrial, for land, etc. But people fall in line because they know with this organization everything is documented. So why should anything be different with you? Because you've allowed people to work with those practices. Now you have to change that. Right? So everything has to be documented, everything has to be process driven, everything has to be transparent. The first meeting with clients has to be an explanatory and exploratory meeting. I repeat, the first meeting with clients has to be an exploratory and an explanatory meeting. Clients are scared. They're entering the discussion with a sense of worry. You are the doctor. You have to allay their fears. You have to make sure that they feel comfortable working with you. And that comfort can only come when there is transparency and when you are very, very clear when it comes to the process. For example, do we have a written timeline? The first thing clients want to know is timeline. Delivery, possession, registration, payment schedules. Now we are dependent on the developer for the timeline. The developer will have a written timeline, the sales team might have one, so they'll give it to you. Suppose the sales team doesn't have one. Is the person dealing with the developer or you? So the value add that you're bringing to the table can't only be the property. The value add is also the sales experience. And the sales experience cannot only be with the sales team or the developer because many of them don't have a proper timeline sheet. Please sit down. In my explanatory meeting, I'm going to take you through the timeline. And you have your buffers everywhere. Saying in case there is a delay here, this is what we do. In case there is a delay here, RERA has protected you in this way. So on and so forth. This is your value. This is what you earn your money. How you earn your money. This is the value you bring to the table. You're not making the product. You're not designing it. You're not working in it. Right? You are the conduit between the product and the customer. This is the value. This is the value. Not only showing the sample flat and negotiating on the rate. Today your scope of work has got diminished to only two things. Flat दाखवायचा आणि रेट मध्ये negotiation करायचं. ह्याच्यामध्ये व्हॅल्यू काय पण? तुमची व्हॅल्यू त्यांना हात पकडून त्यांना सगळं एक्सप्लेन करून सगळं नीट करण्यात आहे. That's the real value. Okay, next point. I want to introduce you to a word called glib. Many of you might have heard it, many of you probably have not. I'll explain. Glib is G-L-I-B, simple. Glib is a tendency to sound insincere. There are two things money can't buy. One is sincerity and one is dedication. People can see it and people can look through you if both are missing. Sounding glib is basically sounding insincere. If people get even a little bit of a whiff that this person is not sincere in what they say, they immediately withdraw. And the moment the client psychologically withdraws from you, you've lost the battle. So it's very important that you mean what you say and you say what you mean. So look up this word glib. Another point is when a patient is rushed into an emergency ward, what is the training of the resident doctors? What are they trained to do? Anybody? What is the first training that is given to resident emergency ward doctors, casualty ward doctors?
Check the vitals. Check the vitals.
Check the blood pressure. Yeah. Correct. Anybody? How serious is the patient? Correct. Basically, they are taught that they have to match the sense of urgency that is required by the patient at that time. Am I right? If a person is profusely bleeding and they have met with an accident, the doctor can't say, "Arey zara kala blood pressure check kara, mग बघू 5 मिनिटांनंतर काय होतंय." गेला तो. बरोबर की नाही? The doctor in his body language has to show that urgency in his words. When you meet customers for the first time, you have to gauge their sense of urgency. And your behavior, your words have to match it. If it doesn't, they will lose interest in you. They will not take you seriously. If they have some certain sense of urgency, they are relocating from somewhere, they need something quickly, and your body language and your tone is laid back and lethargic, do you think they are going to take an interest in you? They need somebody who matches their speed. Am I right? Right? So this is another point you need to keep in mind. Quickly gauge, what does he need? Actually, he doesn't need a home. He needs a place to park stuff when he's moving back from America. Fine, no problem. My deal with the current developer doesn't give me a flat ready just now. Can I give him some interim option? Can I quickly suggest something else? You know, people are looking for solutions. People are not looking for products. The products have to eventually want to become solutions. And today, ladies and gentlemen, the only people I have noticed are successful in their work are people who are able to solve problems for mankind. Right? Most of the time, the problem is people are not able to identify the problems. So what all of you need to start discussing is, boss, what is the problem statement here? The problem statement is not price. The problem statement is availability of funds. It's distinctly different. Correct? So start analyzing what the problems are. All right. Anybody getting bored? Should I stop?
No.
Right. Few more points and then I'll stop the pain. Okay, few more points. Generating curiosity. Do you think that's important?
Yes.
How do you generate curiosity? How many of you have children? Children are naturally curious. You take them anywhere, they'll have 100 questions, especially infant children. How do you generate curiosity in people?
Something different or interesting which we have never seen before.
Correct. Correct. Something that they've never heard before. Something unique. Something new. Say it again, Bill. Yeah. Kirti says, by telling them stories. Guys, this brings me to this important point. All of you are actually storytellers. Correct? I'm a storyteller. What is NLP training? Neuro-linguistic programming training is basically nothing but the art of being able to tell a story and helping people understand what is good. Ek raja hota, त्याच्याकडे असं होतं. How we were taught as children was through storytelling. Am I right? How do you think your profession started? Anybody knows? Has anybody studied a little bit of history about your profession? You know who you were? तुमची हिस्ट्री माहिती आहे तुमच्या कामाची? You were guides. When anybody came to a new town to settle, or they relocated from another city to another village to another district, and they were completely new and unfamiliar. These were the people who would guide them to the best place to live, where there was close to water, where they were close to farmland, where there was cattle, where there was place of worship. These people guided them. That's the work you do. You guide people. So guide them. Your guides. All right. So generating curiosity, telling stories, asking people questions, knowing things about them, asking about their life struggles. You know, what has been going on with your life? How was COVID for you? A lot of you have excellent conversational skills. Some of you are a little inhibited. You have to ask people a lot of questions. Next point is, are we able to handle situations minus the drama? Today there is a lot of song and dance created around us. You will notice there's a lot of drama. Everything is dramatized, everything is over the top. Are we able to have conversations? Are we able to handle situations minus the drama? That's the next question. Even the way we speak, our tone of speaking, our choice of words, our facial expressions, when we are communicating with people, can it be less dramatized? Can it be absolutely plain speak? You know, I'm not saying you have to be dead and dull, but can you speak in a manner which is minus the drama? Saying this is what we offer, this is what I can do for you, and this is our expectations, this is what we can look forward to. You know, rather than talking it up too much. Third last point. When you observe that there is a problem, we have two options. Somewhere we have started kicking the problem down the road. Kicking the can down the road. So somewhere we kick the can down the road when it comes to solving our problems. If you notice there is an issue, if you notice there is a problem, fix it immediately. Don't let it balloon into or mushroom into a bigger problem. So observe what are the problems today. And how will you observe? Is by continuously seeking feedback. I saw this very nice video where Sadhguru has asked Narayan Murthy. Everybody knows Narayan Murthy?
Yes.
He asked Mr. Murthy, what do you think is the greatest leadership quality that every leader, every businessman, every entrepreneur should have? And he said the ability to continuously seek feedback. Continuously ask, am I doing it right? Can I improve? Is there anything else that I can change? And you will notice that when it comes to all of you, there is a certain pattern that develops when it comes to your client feedback. माझे क्लायंट्स माझ्याबद्दल गेले 5 ट्रान्झॅक्शन मध्ये हे म्हणतात की मी वेळेवर पोहोचत नाही. I have two options. Either I can ignore it or I can say no, there must be a genuine concern there, I need to quickly fix it. Or they are saying that I am not prompt in responding or I am not prompt in my dealing. No problem. I can change it. So ask yourselves where the problems are, ask yourself what feedback I'm getting, and quickly start fixing those issues. Most importantly, guys, it's not all about you. It's not all about you. You have to eat humble pie. It's not all about you. It's about the people we serve. This fabulous office, this lovely evening hosted by Mittal brothers, all of us sitting here, it's not all about us. It is eventually, as a fraternity, as a group, can we come together, can we learn few things from today's session and eventually serve the people we are here to serve better. That is the whole motto, the whole objective of who we are. We are because our customer is, right? That is how it is. Unfortunately, a lot of occupational hazards are there in your line of work. People are not always as honest and straightforward. Hence, sometimes you've had to become a little difficult with them. I understand that, but things are changing. We have better regulations now. We have better safeguards now. Today, if there was a time to be a real estate realtor, I don't think there was a better time. 20 years ago, struggles were different, right? Some of the seniors who are sitting here will probably agree with me. Right? There were no safeguards. People will treat you. People would, mislead you or deceive you. As the labs, yeah, yeah. So, people would look down upon the profession. People would undermine the profession. But today, you're a partner. You're called a channel partner or you're called a realtor. Nobody even calls. I don't think I don't hear the word agent. I don't hear the word broker. That shows that the whole industry or the fraternity has picked itself up because it's more professional. It's much smarter. Right? It has evolved. So those were the points. I have one or two more points. I think a lot of you are also into luxury sales. Am I right? Right. Now, this is more to do with the way you work. It's not so much about your branding, but there's a saying that if you want to sell $1 million product, then you need to look like $1 million, right? You really need to be well turned out. I conduct trainings for some luxury automobile manufacturers, and one of the things that I tell them is that if you're going to sell a 60-70 lakh rupee car, when you're standing next to it talking about it, you need to look like somebody who can sell it or somebody who can drive it yourself. That's the level of luxury we need to come to. So if any of you, how many of you are working with luxury partners or luxury sales? Yeah, some of you. So gentlemen, how you are turned out, your overall dressing and grooming, how you conduct yourselves is going to be very important. How you introduce yourselves, how you speak to the client, how much time you take before you rush into uh, discussing business. So maybe there are some people who meet clients on site and they'll say, "Chalo flat देखने चलते हैं, चलो बात करते हैं, चलो ये करते हैं." You can make out they're impatient. वो बैठे हैं लॉबी में कॉफी पी रहे हैं कस्टमर के साथ, लेकिन वो दिख रहा है कि he is becoming impatient to take him to the flat. समझ में आ रहा है कि अभी उसको नेक्स्ट कस्टमर है या नेक्स्ट मीटिंग है. Never let that impatience show. Tell them I have the full day for you. That is luxury. Time is luxury. Space is luxury. Privacy is luxury. Today, if you ask me what is the most, what do I consider luxury, or what do most luxury clients consider luxury, it's privacy or privacy. People don't want what they're doing to be told to people. A lot of people in your groups typically share notes. This is what is happening, this is what is happening, but they want utmost privacy in what is happening, what deals are happening. They don't want people to talk about it as often, right? So these were some of the points I had. I hope you found them useful.
Yes.
Yeah, at least 4-5 good points you got. Anybody have any questions for me before I conclude? Yes, sir.
We'll see about this minute. To handle the situation minus drama, can you just elaborate why the drama should not be there? Sometimes drama helps us in fact.
Yeah.
Situation.
I think what I was implying is no, absolutely right. When I'm talking about drama, there's useful drama,
Okay.
and then there is drama which sometimes just slows the process down, or which just creates more confusion, right? Because when you're actually dealing with a confused bunch of people. Your job is nothing but two things. One is you're transferring energy. At the end of the meeting, you feel equally energetic. That's one. And two, you're playing the role of a validator. I want to buy this property. CHIRAG is my realtor. He has validated it. So I derive comfort from that. Any drama that helps those two actions happen is good. Any drama that slows that action from happening is unnecessary. So if there is necessity drama required, it's required. But it can't slow that process down. Answer?
Yeah. Because a lot of people who are dealing, project gets solitaire. Everybody client enters, they first welcome with a big fan,
Yeah.
no,
No, that's different. That is part of the whole. That is part of the whole product positioning. The drama I'm talking about is the unnecessary conversations, the unnecessary information. इधर-उधर की बातें. That is the drama I'm talking about.
You want to say that we should not defocus from our subject. Drama.
So everyone could know your question as well.
So my question is, can you speak a little more on building a practice? Because many of us, I don't know about others, but I'm facing this problem where people come and they don't stay for a long time, and because of which we want to still be on an individual front and try to control things at home. I know it's wrong, but I want some more light in this so that I'm able to come out of that.
So I think your problem is actually attrition, that people don't stay.
Even leadership or even people, if they have more options to work or they can start their business without any money.
Especially in our industry, people come, they just learn things and they start their own. So,
They come to
because
learn.
of this, we are not able to build a team.
Okay, there are two things, sir. Now, this is a very important question, a very practical problem, that people join us, people want to work with us till they learn the tricks of the trade. The moment they feel they can make their own money and they have their own resources, they leave. Right? I have a question. Can you stop it? Number one, right? You have no control that you can exercise in stopping people. Can you stop hiring them? So what option do we have? I'm giving a very practical answer. We can't stop hiring them because you want to grow, you want people. You know very well they're going to come, learn and move out. Correct? Eventually you can't stop them. But does that mean that you have to pay that price and stop growing yourself? No. What do? One is you keep hiring people. Two is you accept that yes, this is a reality. We can't change it. There are some things which we can control, some things which we can't control. This is and you know why this has happened? Kirti, have you analyzed why this has happened? Because your industry has given inflated ambitions to people. So the moment people come in, they don't really actually see the number of years spent in the industry, growing that practice. All they see is the fruit.
Yes.
And the moment they see the fruit, they feel, चल मैं भी अपना शुरू करता है, कल से मेरा भी अभी कांटेक्ट हो गया, 2-3 बिल्डर डेवलपर मेरे को पहचान दे, मैं अपना शुरू हो जाता हूँ. Their success rate is a question mark that we don't know whether they're successful or they're not. But this is how people started. The question is, did we all start that way? Maybe the dynamics were different when you started.
Yes.
Maybe the industry was less competitive, there were lesser players. Correct? So the dynamics have changed. And in fact, today for that generation to be able to survive and to have a chance at a better life is far more difficult than the earlier generations. It is far more difficult, far more challenging. Tolerance is less. Also, the amount of work they have to put in to earn a basic sustenance is a lot. A lot compared to the earlier generations. Yes, the cost of living is horrendously high today for that generation. If they want to move away from the parents and buy a house and stay on their own, it's extremely difficult. So those are some of the issues that are happening. I think the only thing there too is to make sure that people stay back and they feel they're learning something new. That's why people stay back. Because otherwise what happens is most of these youngsters get bored very easily. Right? They have a very limited shelf life in terms of what they apply. So they get bored very easily and they want to leave. And it's not necessarily always the money. It's also what keeps them interested. You can do that. And two, you can have a transparent conversation with them. Saying, look, I know this might be on your mind. If you're doing it, let me know so that we don't leave each other in a lurch. We can hire on time, we can have somebody do the job. I know, unfortunately, people are not openly saying that. Yeah, and trust me, ladies and gentlemen, I go to so many different industries. This problem is everywhere. Everywhere, people abscond. I'll tell you, there was a client of mine, when they onboard somebody, they spend a lot of money on the uniform, on everything. The person joins, gets the uniform done, is looking all smart, ready for the job, and vanishes the next day. There is no trace, the phone is switched off. What do you do? Whom do you go to? Whom do you complain? That is the way it is. And you look at the amount of population that is continuously being driven towards our cities. When I was growing up in Pune, I have grown up here on FC Road. We were about 2.8 million people in Pune. Today we are close to 8.5 million people between Pune and PCMC, right? And we still have only 4 dams, right? So there's a lot of population being driven towards our cities. Where are these people going to find jobs? These are serious problems for us to think about. Satish sir?
I think one thing that whenever we have anything spoken to client, I have myself experienced it. दो तीन बार बोला हाँ मैं करता हूँ शुरू करता नहीं फिर मैंने उसको एक WhatsApp भेजा कि then I sent him a WhatsApp and he immediately responded to it. So sometimes verbal written communication is much better than verbal.
Yeah.
And the same thing I said that I had sent a client 3-4 times WhatsApp. He never responded to my WhatsApp. So I could see the blue tick, but he never responded to it. I sent him my SMS just for change. He immediately responded. Then I asked him, why did you respond to SMS and why not WhatsApp? He said SMS makes it OTP रहते हैं. So मेरा SMS पे के तरफ ध्यान बहुत ज़्यादा जाता है. So suddenly it will change. So you can elaborate a little more on written and verbal communication or something with images.
Yeah, I think a lot of clients have different temperaments when it comes to dealing with different mediums of communication. Some people prefer WhatsApp, some people don't look at their phones the whole day, so they expect you to pick up the phone and speak to them. Some people want everything documented on an email. Some people want you to write detailed SMSs to them, whatever. I think the best thing that has worked for me is always asking the client that are we going to communicate with each other? If yes, then how would you like me to communicate with you? Should it be on phone? Should it be on SMS? Or should it be? I don't want to keep chasing you. So one of the things that we have to start setting slowly, and you can do it politely, is setting boundaries of the relationship. Most of the problems start because 1, there are no boundaries, and 2, as Indians, you will agree with me, we are very bad at setting expectations. We think or we assume that people know what my expectations are, and everybody knows, right? Assume the full form is when you make an ass out of you and me. So don't assume, set expectations from day 1, define boundaries from day 1, and life will be better. At least marginally better, if not holistically. Good question there. Especially on the service charges. Yeah. Any other questions? I see a lot of young people here in smart blazers. Anybody? Before I go, yes sir.
I believe everyone in this hall will somehow agree on the same question. Despite of doing the proper communication, be it verbal, written, giving the 360-degree scenarios, everything, whatever you have mentioned till now, one fine day client stops responding at all. Be it corporate, be it an individual. Can we reignite that spark somehow? Be it a salesperson from the builder side, be a consultant who are sitting here. Do we have any chance to reignite that spark?
Okay. Did you hear the question? It's a fantastic question. I'm going to answer it in 3 parts. Number 1, in every business, you have what is known as a black box customer. It is typically 2 to 3% of your entire customer base. What are black box customers? These are customers who are difficult, they harass you, they ghost on you, they stop messaging you, they try to fiddle with the pricing, right? They indulge in all sorts of malpractices, they cheat you. There are a lot of things that happen there. Every business has this. That's an occupational hazard, number 1. Number 2, if somebody is not responding to you, the reason is, what is known in marketing parlance is a blind spot. Let's say, today we have a newspaper ad full page of one of the prominent projects that is happening in, let's say, Balewadi. And you're having chai in the morning, you look at it, Are wah, kiti chhan hai, clubhouse hai, there, and you go to the next page. Next day, same ad is on the front page, full. You look at it, I had seen it yesterday, cool. Next page. Third day, the ad is repeated. What happens? You probably don't fully ignore it. You might, okay, fine, acknowledge, next. Fourth day, ignore, right? What has happened is that ad has gone into your blind spot. So one of the things, salespeople, all of you, and we're all in sales, you have to always be careful, never give people too much, always create a little bit of scarcity when it comes to you communicating with people. Don't become very accessible and easily available. Little bit of scarcity and you should know the tricks. Never get into a client's blind spot. The moment you get into a blind spot, people start taking you for granted. And you don't want to be in that situation. This is the second part of that question. Third part. The moment you feel someone is not responding or is not incommunicado, withdraw. Withdraw yourself completely. Never ever disrespect yourself or your work because somebody else is not respecting you. Withdraw from that transaction. That was never your customer. That was never a genuine client. If they needed something, they would have come to you. Withdraw. We work on the reverse. We try harder. वो मैसेज नहीं कर रहा है, वहां से फोन लगाता हूँ, तिथून फोन करतो, असा टाकतो, फेसबुक मेसेंजर वर जाऊन बघतो तो अगले नाही का. Don't do it. You are undermining your own efforts. Withdraw. Right, sir?
Yes. Thank you so much.
Anybody else? Any questions? Right then. Anybody? All good?
Yes.
Was it helpful?
Yes.
Okay. So thank you. Thank you very much, guys. All the best. Jai Hind.
Ladies and gentlemen, CHIRAG ke liye Surata, come on everybody. CHIRAG, may I request you please join me once again on the stage. So we have a little token of love for you. And to do the honor, may I request